Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Sorry about the phone thing again. The phone switched the view again. Orientation is locked. Rotate the device. Am I sideways? Anyway, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I'm your humble host, Hawkeye Two Feathers, also known as David Knoll. And I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I continue to pray that each and every one of you will learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And so, with that said, if you are here, thank you very much. And what do I mean? Views of the future. Well, views of the future. I have prognosticated some things in the past, and so as some of you, my longtime viewers and friends, have known, that I had visions of Mother Mary back when I was 11 or 12. And I can't remember exactly, but I still think it was 11. Um, and so there have been some things in my lifetime that I have sort of prognosticated with obvious help from, my spirit guides and things. And a couple of them were kind of heavy, and my prognostication just kind of went under the radar. The prognostication was more for me than anybody else, because nobody would believe me if I told them, because I told a few people and they were like, no, that's what. And then when it happens, they go, son, bitch, you was right. And so I don't want to be right, you know. That is not my goal. Is to be. This is not a pity pit, pissing match. No. So, and the things that I've been right on with my feelings, just intuition, you know, and also watching what's going on, So, for those of you who might come into this and go, well, JV, I'm not trying to foretell the future. All right. These are just views of the future that in my dream time and in my dream time, in the lizard way, and um, you know, uh, doing the shaman's death. I'm referring to the cards I pulled tonight on Robert's channel. Alexander Ganja. Hi, how are you? I'm gonna. Oh, I missed it. That 20, didn't I? I'm gonna fill this up. I'm gonna do a 20 anyway. And so, growing up on the carnival, you'd sit for hours. Like I'd be, working the kiddie rides, and you'd sit for hours sitting on the train or one of the helicopter rides or something. You'd be sitting on a tub, because you otherwise you'd be standing all damn day, and that just it gets boring, tiring, and it hurts. Don't care what age you are, you stand for 5 or 6 hours, it hurts some people more than others, but it hurts. So, but anyway, what is there to do on a Saturday afternoon? You go out on the lot at 1:30 in the afternoon. Pretty warm. It's 94 degrees, and that ain't feels like temperature. That's the real deal temperature. And so, and we're out there, with t-shirts on and ball cap or something, because like for me, I worked the scrambler when I got older and went out on, and so the scrambler, it ain't there's no shade at all. You're just out there, you know, and um, and you got to be on your ride, you know. So after all the years, the one thing that I learned to pick up on is to watch people in the crowd, watch people over here, because you know if you saw some people, you know that was starting to, you know, create a tussle, you know, especially like if you were on the Rocco plane, which puts you up above the crowd, you could see all the way down the midway. You know, if you saw a tussle coming, you could give a signal to the police standing over by the uh, the office trailer, and you know it's not far for the police and everybody to get. So with that said, you know, uh, it worked out. But Isaiah, how are you? What got you into streaming, and what are your short and long term goals in life? No, I'm sorry. I just almost had to go to the emergency the other day because I got this right here got me very sick, very sick. Threw up, got dry heaves, threw up, dry heaves. 36 hours later, I now my heart's in trouble. I go to the doctor. Well, I'm thinking this is still Tuesday. On on Monday to follow up, my potassium's dropped. My something else has dropped. Um, and it's like, oh, holy crap. And it's all because of this um, Stouffer's lasagna. Now, I've had this before, but this right here made me so sick. And I did not know how sick I was because until I went to the doctor on Monday, and he's like, "Your potassium down. If you don't straighten this shit out, you're going in the hospital." And I'm like, "What?" Well, I'm drinking a lot of water and I'm doing this, you know. But what? Yeah, that 36 hours of being sick damn near killed me. I'm not trying to blow it up. No, you know, my everything had dropped, and me being here in the house, out here in the country, and as weak as I was, you know, he was like, "Man, why didn't you call the thing?" And I said, "I had to be able to come to the hospital if I needed to, but." In my stubbornness in old age and what I have learned from the whiskers is that, you know, if I kind of sort of wrap up in a ball with certain things and let the creator come in. You just got to, it's like a bad trip, man. You got to ride it out, ride it out. Oh, my stomach. Oh, God. So it up again. You just got to ride it out, ride it out, ride it out. Go into your brain in here and just, yeah, it's nasty. Yes, it hurts. And yeah, it's been 24 hours already. Yeah, and I still can't keep anything down. Oh my God. Now now since I'm dehydrated and my system starts to shut down, my kidneys have been affected. 36 hours of Paisan and throwing up. So, you know, that's a lot of fun. Um, so things in the future views, I think Creator was, from what I've been gathering since being sick just yesterday, kind of thing, um, is that not necessarily diseases. It was a virus. It was something in that lasagna that got me. Could it have been poisonous? Well, it was poisonous to me. It was poisonous to this person that has a heart condition. You know, out here in the country and nobody to help me. And if I pass out from dehydration down here on the floor, I'm a dead man. So, did Stouffer's lasagna that made me sick almost kill me? The answer is yes. and I got to go back to the hospital tomorrow and Thursday. Oh, and Friday too, actually. They called me up and said, "Can you be here on what?" I said, "Okay." Well, can you do this? Yeah, okay. So tomorrow I'm going to go to the hospital to pulmonology. I don't think I've ever been to this department before. So sometimes they go up underneath your down here underneath your rib cage because your aorta, where everything gets transferred to the rest of the body, is down here in the below the heart and down here. Yeah. So they've got the, and I don't know if this is it, but it's got a microphone, basically like for a sonogram, and they push it up as high up underneath your rib cage as they can without being, uh, painful, but to get pictures of what your while your aorta is pumping. It's amazing to see it. So, but anyway, I don't know if that's what they're doing tomorrow. But it's been about a year and a half or so, and I did have that done, and I was at like 20%, to where the heart flow in the muscle, and that was I was at 20%, 80% good. Okay, 20% bad. All right, but so now, so future people are going to start seeing the effect. I'm trying not to be rude, but of losing the Mexican population. They're talking, "Hey, Cherry, how are you? Good to see you. Hello, 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 hello." Um, you know, and there are folks screaming, prejudiced and, racist because we want these folks. If we're not going to play by our rules, no offense, go home. That's all. We don't need you here if you're not going to join. You know, you're welcome to join. We will help you to join to be an American. All you got to do is learn a few things. You got to know how to speak English. You got to know what's left and right. You got to, not be colorblind. And well, actually, we could probably let these folks in if they were colorblind. But all this other stuff. So, yes, allow people to come to America, but not like it has been done. So, most of us agree on that, right? I'm sorry, Mr. Mexican, but if you ain't gonna play by our rules, you got to go to the house. You got to go to your house, not another one of ours. You got to go to your house, and especially since you raped a woman and damn near killed a baby and shot up the garage of somebody. So yeah, you got to go. Now, in my right mind, as a long-haired, let's see how long my hair is getting. As a long-haired hippie dude, you know, with wisdom in the whiskers, I would say that the year in jail is about right. It's not too long, it's not too short. You burn an American flag. Okay. So my future views are that somebody's going to burn a flag. Man, I think they're going to do it on both coasts. Going to be one around Philadelphia somewhere, and the other one is going to be in LA somewhere. So that's my future view. Okay, is it going to happen? I don't know, but are these are the places they keep instigating things, and so I wouldn't put it past them to do this. So if it happens, I was right. Um, and I don't get any points for being right. It's just watching and observing, right? And like I was saying, and being on the carnival, there's nothing to do but watch people. So you could see how they interacted. You could see how the kids were, interacted with mommy and daddy. I mean, just the whole 9 yards, and watching people for years. And so, um, being down here on the farm, there is no opportunity to really watch people like I used to. So now there are crazy people posting videos that I can watch, and go, oh, are you serious? They did what? Damn fool. But so still watching people is my point, and how their habits are. So do it's your personal item, but are you doing things over and over and over again? Like every morning you got to do something, and but is that related to like a commercial or like to a particular brand? The new commercials out there now are the hers and hymns. So you're going to attach to hymns for what? To get to get a rock hard, what you call it? Um, I don't know what you call it because I can't do it. But so yeah, people are becoming so dependent upon these things. Now, as you watch the commercials, okay, so I don't know personally of anybody that gets it, all right, because I don't get out much. But in the commercials, you see hymns. Oh, I couldn't have done it without hers. What? Hers should be she's or something anyway. And hymns? What kind of? Oh God, I was going to say it out loud. Okay, I'll say it out loud. What kind of fairy dude are you that you got to have hymns? Uh, just saying. Oh, afraid to go to the doctor and talk about an erection or not having one or ejecting too soon or whatever. Listen, chill out. You and the old lady have some hot chocolate. You need to get some cherries or some strawberries to feed each other. There's certain things you need to do. Oh, you asked me a question, somebody up there, about how did I get into live streaming and podcasting or whatever. And this will be my 10th year I've been here doing this. And I was watching other people and the wisdom of the whiskers. I had things to say, and every time I tried to get in a chat where I could have a good conversation with some people, or you know, invite me on their show just to talk about stuff, and talk about God and talk about this and talk about the Catholic Church because I've been there. Talk about being a pedophile priest and so a subject. I'm a first person that this has happened to. I mean, first person me, and so it's like so I was so hell bent to tell my story, right? The priest and the thing, and nobody wanted me to talk. And so there was one channel, Mod Wiz or something like that, and I was trying to be nice, and he took a whatever it was and sideways, and he was like, if you want to find out, if you want to talk about certain stuff, then get your own damn channel. So I did, and I've been here ever since. And because of my heart attacks and health, and like just the other day, damn near died right there on the floor from food poisoning. Let me show it again. I'm going to do a separate video about the Stopers thing and see if they contact me. There's a number on the box, and I've been so pissed about getting sick from their product. Somebody said, well, you didn't cook it right. I've been doing it. I'm 73 years old. I am not dementia addled. I know how long I put it on the timer. I know when I go to eat it if it still got ice in it. And so you put it for another 15 minutes on the top oven bake thingy, and it comes out and is done. So I ate it. But anyway, so I don't want to scream at the telephone when I call that toll free number, but I got to call soon because it happened on Monday and now this is Wednesday. So you need to call up and put it in the books, and also give them the number. What if there are what if this same product has to be recalled? So I'm going to do a video of just the Stofers. I'm going to call the company, and now that I'm more stable. Oh, is Chloe there? I took my meds, by the way. Oh, honey, how are you? It was live. It says it's live. Why, you got something you want to talk about? Northern, I fear that northern Utah has served cracks in the ground. Several cracks in the ground. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know, down where I'm at here in South Georgia, there are so many caves almost directly under my feet. I mean, seriously, because I've been in Climax Cave 11 times, and it's pretty vast. It's cool as hell, man. And you know, if you didn't know where it was, you ain't gonna find it. But back in the day, a lot of teenagers knew where it was, and they showed me where it was. And then the teenagers grew up, and I kept going there. But then it got to the point where they put a gate across where you used to go in, and you can't do it now. I understand that you can ask to go in and get permission from the for folks that own the property. But there are several places like 8 miles from me that there are caves under the ground. They're not cracks, they're caves, entire cave systems, you know? And for me, having stood at the mouth of a bunch of these caves down here, years ago I went in Devil's Hopper, and that was scary. About about 60 feet down, and it was like the bottom of it was just going to cave in, and we were going to drop into something. And cracks in the ground, Devil's Hopper, down around Boston, Georgia, somewhere, um, north of Boston. Anyway, so but yeah, the holes in the ground for me, when you're in the cave, especially in a tight spot, you can feel the air rushing by you. When you go down into the squeeze, which is a hole about yay big, and you literally got to squeeze through it, um, you can feel the breeze coming by you, and it's the air coming from the depth of the cave past you going out. And it's like, what? You're about 100 feet straight down. And then as you go across the floor to the first cave there, there's a little slope down, but you're basically 100 feet down from the surface of the area there. And it's like, holy crap, you know? So, but the caves breathe, and they have determined this over the many years. But because I was studying Climax Cave before I knew anybody else was, and they got a whole group of folks from Tallahassee, spelunkers that go in there, and so I would like to go in again before I die. I got to get stronger, but I really want to go back in there. A couple of places I'd like to look at that I want to see if they're still there. But anyway, so what's that got to do with the price of tea in China? The Earth is breathing, and so future views say that people are going to start more. Wait, because of all the earthquakes and everything, and people watching more closely and stuff. Um, Future views, and this probably ain't too hard to figure out. Future views say that people will become more understanding of the earth. that there are going to be people who say, listen, I've been in a cave. And when you go to the cave, you can feel the air come out of the cave. The planet is breathing, you know, it's circulating air like it circulates lava and like it circulates water, you know, the different, other many different aquifers and aqueduct, well, not an aqueduct, but you know, and all of the passages under our feet with the lava and you know, magma. Okay, excuse me, it's not lava till it comes out. Um, but so here are all these things that's going on with the Earth. Now, people are going to say it's, you know, it's climate change. Yes, dearie, but not the kind of climate change you think. Like last night, our temperature was 69 degrees here. It's still August. It's still dog days. Okay. Well, maybe not. No, I'm sorry. We're out of dog days, but barely. But anyway, um, and dog days just means it's the hottest time of the year. So, you know, and it's August. But, you know, cold front comes in. Everybody's complaining about, oh, that we're going to have this, it's going to be hot and everything. And all of the signs, me being an old man and watching stuff, you watch the bugs, for example. Watch where the ants go and how frantic they get when it starts to get September, you know, and they're going crazy out here along the house. So, and I've been watching them for the last 15 years. So, you know, but other bugs too, you know. And so, all of these things, if you watch nature, you can see them. And for me, I don't want to say foreseeing, you know, but I guess it would be true. I foresee where people are going to understand the earth more. And I foresee that people are going to go, wait a minute, the climate's always changing. The climate has been changing for a million years. They're they're gaslighting you. They're building up something that we're the cause. Oh hell no, we ain't. Is solar good? Yeah, I got solar here. Switching to it if you can. Sure. If it works for you, go for it. Um, Windmills everywhere and out at sea, not so much. I believe sort of like oh, watch the goldenrods. Absolutely. Oh, Sheila, Rob came by yesterday, and yeah, because I'd come home from the doctor. Um, he came by yesterday, and he says, "Look at my truck." And I look at his truck, sassafras trees. There used to be sassafras trees around here, all along the fence road on Lloyd Road. And when that guy took over there, and they pulled up all the fence rows along the road, and when they did, they tore up all of the sassafras because I would go there and pick it right in the neighborhood and within walking distance. And it's outside of Cairo. Yeah. And so I got directions, and I'm going to go looking one of these days soon. But with doctor's appointments and stuff these next couple of days in the afternoon, I don't want to go to Camilla. I said Cairo, didn't I? I meant Camilla. Go to Camilla and then not be able to get to the hospital or something. So, but so sassafras, ooh, and so he had several of them that were about this tall, and he's like, man, they're all over the place. He said, you turn along and over here and blah blah. He goes, they're all over the place, and I was like, gonna get a bucket, gonna go dig some up, and gonna put some along my fence row, and because I've been wanting something to go there, and I bought a few things, and none of it would grow. And so I transplanted a couple of I can never remember that citrus tree, and I've seen them. They're still growing over there. They're still only about this tall 2 years later. Um, I don't know what the deal is. They're not dead. Um, so I know they take a long time to germinate and all, but man, I mean, I have not seen them grow a bit in 2 years. So anyway, I'm gonna go get some sassafras because that's a good home remedy to have. And also, he said he knew where there was some mullein. So I, he's like he can't remember. So anyway, when I go out there to see my buddy in Missouri, I'm gonna have to go through Arkansas and Missouri, and they got bunches of it growing out there. So if everything works out well, I'll be out there in October, and it should be still early enough in the season that there should be some mullein standing. So anyway, um, but so what do I foresee in the future for myself? Well, I foresee in the future for me to not get food poisoning and almost die, for me to keep working on my heart condition, and doesn't need any operations at the moment. Would like to keep it that way. So if I can learn how to maintain this and keep it together, I would like to see another 10 years. I would love to make it to 82. My real father made it to 80, 85. So I know I got the genes for it. You found a orange tree beside the creek. Yeah, there's some in behind um, our neighbors over here, Mister. Um, yeah, our neighbor over here, and along my fence line and his, and it's actually on his by maybe 10 feet. And there's some of the trees are pretty tall, and they're that orange tree kind of thing that grows around here. And he cuts his back. I'll have to look at it this year and see if he's going to have any fruit on it. I love them. I do. They look like tangerines. And he's like, "Oh, these are too sour," and I'm like, "But you peel them and you eat them, and there's just a little bit of sour to them." And it still tastes like a tangerine kind of thing to me. So he was just, mowing them up and throwing them. And I was like, "Can I have some? Can I come pick?" You know. So being my neighbor and all, and 40 years of being here, so I found a couple of. He had cut the tree limbs off and piled them up on the other side of that little fence in his backyard, and they were there. And what happened was some of them took root. Some of the limbs that he cut took root. So, and there's some little ones down there too. And so, you know, I need to go back over there and see if I can get them out and put them in a pot and water them and feed them and talk to them and see if them son of guns won't grow up a little bit better, instead of putting them out there in the yard. I think that section of the property over there is cursed for some reason. It just doesn't want to grow anything. I mean, even the local weeds don't want to grow over there. So, um, and it's hard clay. It's hard clay. It was so sweet. It's up by the bridge on your side, right? Well, they used to, your driveway, they used to, go in there and dump their garbage on either side of that road, all the way to the end. And then there was a turnaround. I'm not sure if it's where your driveway is, but it's about that long as I remember it. But then there was a little bit of a road that went down even further, for the telephone poles back there in your place. And, it wasn't nothing for somebody to pull in with a pickup truck and throw all their shit out. Um, and so, popular place for around here back in the day. Yep. But what I was getting with that is that during that time, people throwing stuff away, that's where the seeds came from, where the trees come from is what somebody threw their garbage out from sometimes people would throw a whole bushel basket of something out, you know and so my point about that, on the riverside, there's no telling what could come up. From what I saw dumped and everything, and yeah, and Ricky pulling up too, but uh, you know, I would see fresh garbage like from a refrigerator, you know, that was still active. you know. Um, Boy, those were the days, huh? So what do I see for the future? I see some people that's going to go more crazy. They're not going to get it. They're just not. We're going to be nice. We're going to be, steady. I'm going to say, listen, sit down. It's okay. You know, this is what this means. Calm down. Calm down. You can't resolve anything if you're acting like this. So that's the first order of business. Calm. Please calm down. What are the first words that come out of an alien's mouth? Please calm down. You know, don't shoot me. Please calm down. Maybe that's the first thing he says is, don't shoot me. Please calm down. Yeah. So, but anyway, so there are aliens out there. It is a fact, and folks need to get over it. Now, hopefully, um, the alien thing is, we've already known about some of these folks for a while. And um, as some of you, I talk about Dante. Um, Dante's been showing spaceships and things and all kinds of stuff for at least 10 years now. And so it's like, I was already a believer, but when he started showing some of this stuff, I was like, man, oh man, dog once ate my lunch on my way to school. Yeah, when I was 12 years old, I had a dog jump up. I had a ball in my hand, and he was jumping up to play with me. And I moved the ball out of the way, and he landed with his mouth. It was a boxer. He landed with his mouth, front teeth, through my upper lip. And when he fell back down to the ground, he ripped my lip open. And he had his paws up to catch the ball. I moved now. Uh, but so I had scratch marks on both sides at both ears and that were bleeding. So I'm blowing blood out of my mouth, out of my lip. My ears are bleeding, not sprouting, but they're running down the side where the scratches were deep. So I had 2 stitches on this side, 2 on this side, a bunch of them in my lip, and I had to watch that guy, stitch my lip up, and it was like, God Almighty, traumatic, to say the least, back in the day. He sewed me up in his office, which doesn't really matter. He did a good job. One reason why I have a mustache, because I do have a scar right there on my lip. Not a big one, but it's there, and not that it bothers me. Um, so, future things. I think the Golden Dome over the United States is not for the Russians. This is my opinion, but the Golden Dome is to keep certain alien races from coming into the United States. Now, the way Putin and Trump met the other day, Putin knows all about the aliens. He is caught up with that stuff, okay? And they could have sat down, and Vlad could have said, "Oh, listen, Donald, there was this one," and he could have, you know. So we don't know what they talked about, which I think is good. But the way Vladimir met him on the tarmac and the way they both acted towards each other, um, you know, it if Trump said, "Me and Vlad have decided to get together, and we're going to build a gold dome over the United States, and also to include parts of Russia." We set up these things on the edge of on the water, on the oceans, and we do. Why? It's not because of each other. Why do they want to, get more bullets and rockets and things to shoot down aliens? Because if these guys really do swoop in, and some of them are nasty as hell, it might not be, the day the Earth stood still, or, you know, um, but it can get very messy. And so the aliens know that from America's standpoint, too many of us have guns, you know, and they're like, "I don't think so." That's why they're more prevalent in Europe, because some places over there it's like, "Give us your gun," or, but anyway, turn in your gun. Oh, it's a 20. Who's down there with a 20? And gang stalking, a form of alien torture. Oh, Venetia, hi, how are you? Yeah, that too, Now, I know there are some folks that are like, "Yeah, well, I still don't believe there are aliens." Well, it's one of the things that the aliens had to show me. When I got this tap on the shoulder to go outside that day, and Marcia was here, and it was just about dusk. I've talked about this before. And out of Tallahassee was this orange ball. From the heights, I don't, it looked roundish, okay? And it's traveling across, and it could have been an airplane with brown lights, but it was not blinking. And just so immediately I said, "That's a satellite, that's got to be a satellite." And I'm watching along, and I hear that voice in my head that says, "Yeah, but watch." So I looked down at the ground. It was like, "No, watch." And I look up, and it had just got from straight over 90 to about 80 degrees that way. And this white ship appeared, shot it with a laser beam, and then disappeared immediately. And the ship that was struck by the laser beam popped out of existence. There was no debris or anything like that. It was just gone. And in space, when the white one showed up, they were only about this far apart. I mean, if they took that and looked up in the sky, They were only that far apart. And that white one showed up, shot that beam, and as it shot the beam, it just disappeared. And then when the beam hit the yellow one, orangish one, it was gone. So in my head, and I'm watching that, and they're like, okay, do you, for me, the conversation I was had with, quote, the aliens, they were like, so do you believe us now? So for me, it was learning to hear these entities. Um, I'm supposed to be connected through Pleiadian blood and possibly somehow through the Charistus group through some kind of reincarnation, I feel. But I'm here on a mission, and this is it to observe and um, and to spread the word to you. What do I see for the future? People learning how to observe more. Now, what's going to be interesting in the future as people view more, there's a lot of folks that want to do remote viewing, which is sort of, future looking. And there's the future cast folks that are looking to the future to see what might be going on. So it's like, and all of these are relative. You say, well, Dave, ain't that hocus pocus? No, when you understand what's going on in the quantum field, which is all around us, and that, our subconscious and conscious are always in there, and you say, well, that's just bullshit. That's just, no, it ain't. The shamans, when I'm still a shaman in training, but the powwows I've gone to and the true shamans that I've spoke with, it's like, no, what you have to understand is your place in this universe. Well, what the fudge do you mean by that? And it says that I am a citizen of the universe. What? I am a citizen of the universe. And some folks say a citizen. Oh, that means stop it. I am a human being on planet Earth in South Georgia, in Meigs, Georgia, where I get my mail. That this is where I'm from. But I'm still a part of the galaxy. I still am a member of the galaxy because I exist in it. Now, whether I participate with the galactic whoever's, um, y'all be nice up there. That some of these people are still greedy, and some of these entities have not sat down and learned any wisdom from their whiskers, if they can have whiskers. Relating to another video I did that I got kicked out of. Yeah, the video kicked me out and shut the live feed down. That was interesting. So here am again with this video. Um, but in order to stay connected to each other, we need to learn our connection to the universe, to 20 minutes, um, to the universe. And all you have to do is look up and say, "Yep, I'm a member." Oh no, I don't believe none of this shit. I don't believe ET can be out there. I don't know about believe other. I don't believe this Earth energy. And what did you talk about, Dave, earlier about caves and listening to the planet breathe? Yes, the planet breathes. What? So if the planet is breathing, doesn't that mean It's a living entity. Raise your hands, class. You know. So yes, I've been in a bunch of caves out in Missouri and northern Arkansas and over there. Uh, Down in Florida, I want to go scope a place out when I go down on my birthday here in a couple of weeks. I'd really like to ride over there and take a look for real. Um, there's some places down around Brooksville and around Inverness where I used to go as a Boy Scout camping and all. And there are holes in the ground. I mean, just a hole in the ground. And you look down there and there's a cave. Just a hole in the ground, walk across the field and do, watch where you're going. And he's like, son of a bitch. There'd be a hole in the ground and down in there's cave. And there's a whole big cave system there in that Brooksville area. And it's like, there have been folks that go in there, but it's basically, unexplored. You want to go do something, you can go jump in one of those holes and, with help and whatever, but explore the caves. It's still there. There are still adventures. There are still high adventures, if you will, like Thor Hydro that built that balsa wood raft and floated to Easter Island or over there. And so, what a deal. Who's doing? Well, there are some folks that are doing things like that. There's one lady that supposedly, I don't know if she did it, was going to swim the English Channel again. And oh, no, she was going to swim from Alcatraz. That's what it was. She was going to dive into San Francisco Bay and swim to one of the shores from Alcatraz. I don't know if she made it, but good on her. But back in the day when, Robert and I were talking about, we have been talking about all of these mountain men and pioneers and how they forged ahead in America. And you've got some folks that do rock climbing and things and backpacking and all, but back in the day, these guys didn't have nothing, no GPS. A lot of the times, um, and this is what the interesting thing is, one of like with maps, they knew in their head where they were at. They knew what the terrain looked like. They could picture it after being there and working on a trail or whatever. He can, those guys could picture what them mountains looked like. So they, not to say they didn't have time for a map, but when they got back is when they drew the map. Some of them. Now, if they went to draw a map, they drew the map there. But some of the pioneer guys, they might have sketched on a piece of paper if they had pencil. Um, no ink pens then. Well, yes, there were ink pens, but you had to have ink separate with the quill. But anyway, so how involved do we get to be during disclosure? Now, my friends, there are many folks, white hat thingies, that we are in disclosure right now. All the tic tac stuff, all of the admiral of the one ship, Gallaudet. He's in another podcast talking about the UFOs underwater and what the Navy's seeing. And he's an admiral, was an admiral. And it's like, you don't believe the guy? He's an admiral for the Navy. You don't believe the guy? What if this admiral called you up and said, we're going to shoot a rocket, at this, it looks like a submarine, and it's a nuke. We're going to get him. Okay. All right. Womp, 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 womp. And out of the tubes goes a missile chasing down this thing, and it's a nuke now. It's a nuke. It's like a 10 megaton. It's a nuke. It's going to make a big explosion. And so off goes the rocket. Everybody's cheering, and then all of a sudden, somebody says, "Did you say that was a nuke?" And it was like, "Yeah, that was a nuke we said out there." You just fired a nuke. So I think there's going to be. I see in the future stupidity. I see folks making dumb moves over there, over here. Right now, Trump's got a handle on some things. He's got everybody calmed down, at least to a point. And so the White Hats say that the reason Trump's doing the peacekeeping thing around the world is because that's what the alien races are requiring. They're not coming down here until there's peace, till people quit killing each other and everybody calms the hell down. So I don't know if that's true, but it sure looks like something like that's going on. So my future view of what's going on is that's going to become more clear, and it seems like it's going to be really soon, like before October. God knows what's going to happen around my birthday, which is the equinox. It's the autumnal equinox. And I think it's going to be dead on the 24th. Right on. What does that mean? Psst. But there are people who want to give dates like that significant. The powers that be, and they're praying to Squala and friends, and Natasan, the opposite of Satan anyway. So these folks are worshiping folks, and ooh, there's the equinox, and ooh, there's the thing, and now what? Well, we had to go through it. Okay, we're done. You know, John, how are you? Howdy, 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 howdy. Oh, there's X. Oh, we already passed the 20. I loaded this thing up and I'm still yapping, so I gotta take one. It's my turn. My future views include greed is going to show up, and there are going to be some more greedy men that are going to try to be more greedy, and it ain't going to work. I can't really see how it. I can't see how it would work out. Only that it would, and so it's like, okay. So there are a lot of things in the future view. Yeah, hi John. I hope you're doing well. Um, that like for me, my project is somebody asked me an hour ago, or in the last video actually. Um, like, why did I start? Well, I started this so I could have conversations with people about some of these subjects, and put out a theory, put out some information, and see what floats, right? And so my average viewership is 29, 23 to 69, something like that. 23 people watch one of my videos. That's an average, you know? Okay. I'm very pleased and thank you very much for watching. Did it stimulate you? Did you think about something in the process? or did you just listen and smoke a bowl and say, "Yeah, man," and then leave? Which is all of that. It's okay. I've never asked anybody to like or share any of, well, one video. So after 10 years, here I am. Thank you, YouTube, and so much for pulling my channel down a couple of times for what they would never tell me, and that's what made me the maddest. It wasn't so much that they pulled my channel down, it's that they wouldn't tell me what I did wrong, and that pisses me off. So I'm over that. So future views are that people are, if I want to do something on YouTube, I must follow their parameters. Now, my argument was they didn't tell me, they didn't give me parameters for the videos they took down. Now, the one that I sent them that I told them to get, uh, oh, I was mad. That thing didn't last. I don't know if there was any views or not. They blew that thing up. You hear me? 2 weeks into jail, they blew that thing up. So if you want to play, you're going to have to play by the rules. But in playing by the rules, there are some unwritten rules that counter some of the rules. Like, you can't do that over there except on Wednesdays. What's up, Klaus? Klaus, how are you? So, what about the universe? So, aliens. So, we are already dead in the middle of of disclosure. When is the government going to do it? Now, here's the trick. And I did this in another video, but here we future view. There's going to be information. They got a bunch of hearings and stuff coming up. Next session, and listening to the folks who are going to do it. They're serious about interviewing people and trying to get to the bottom of the UFO thing. So all of the people who are whistleblowers are saying, yes, I saw it. Yes, I experienced this. Okay, firsthand, right? Then there are those folks who are saying, my best friend told me this story firsthand. You know what I mean? So there's that. But so a lot of us agreed, over 50% for sure. A lot of us agreed that there's somebody up there. We don't know what they're doing. I've seen some of these spaceships on the live ISS feed. Big giant bitch. I mean, here's the ISS, here's the ISS, and then the rest of the screen is this thing. You know, uh, and they cut the feed off right away. I about dropped one, and I somewhere there's a little recording of it. I recorded it off the TV with my video camera, and I was like, nobody's gonna believe this one. But I got it on tape someplace back in the old tape days. So, do I believe that there are aliens? Oh yeah, there's something. And like I said, I saw the shoot down over my head. I've seen other things. They on the way home one night when I was working on a friend's truck. I was in my head. I'm talking to these folks, and I'm like, but I'm doing it out loud, and I'm going. I believe you guys is up there. I don't know who you are or what your names are. And I said, unless you come to harm me, I will welcome you to learn to get together kind of thing. Um, And so I'm thinking this, and I'm like, so I'm getting these impressions back, and I'm like, so when are y'all going to show me something? When is, can you point your finger and go, look out the window and look at that? And they said just that. Look out your window and look. This spaceship blew up across the sky. I mean, there was debris and colors all from one horizon to the other. And it was a clear night, Bubba. And there was, and you say, oh, no, it was an asteroid. No, it wasn't, because it was too wide. It wasn't just a rock that came in and came loose. No. This brought debris and width across the sky, from here to way over yonder, and it's like, what? An asteroid or something, it comes in and there, there's a path and there's debris along that path. The path on this thing was 200 miles wide. Honest to God. From over my head to where I saw it disappear over towards Valdosta had to be 100 miles, 50 at least, without exaggerating. I mean, if you saw it, you'd go, son of a bitch. And some of the debris lingered up there. And I stopped the truck immediately and pulled over, and I'm looking out the window going, what the hell? And the front of the spaceship debris kept spreading out and spreading out, spreading out, spreading out, spreading out. It didn't spread my fingers like this. It was spreading out and shooting across the dark sky, but it was lit up. All these pieces were burning different colors. And so I was standing there going, what the hell? And the voice in my head said, did you see that? And I was like, well, hell yeah. And the voice said, we just shot down some bad guys. You wanted to see, because I was talking in my head like, when are y'all going to, y'all talk a good line. You're going to come down here and, are you going to invade the earth? Are you going to come down here? They say you can talk to aliens. And so, hey, aliens. So I was doing this thing driving in my truck, right? Where are you guys at? Show yourselves if you're really up there, do your thing, blah, 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 right? They did. Now, a lot of folks have says, well, the debris you saw, it could have been listen, it could have, should have, could have, would have. Nah. And the reason is because there were so many items across the sky that were literally going north. I mean, going north. But from one horizon to the other, man. Just so do I believe in aliens? Yeah. Have I had conversation with blue orbs? Yes. Have I had conversation with that entity up in Ohio? Yes. Do I care if anybody else believes me? No. I, you know, I wish people would, but because I'm not lying, um, because all of these things were absolutely, truly real. And the conversation, the seeing the debris, the seeing different things, and then seeing future things. Most of them, a lot of them have already transpired, like how we were going to get here over the years. And, you know, I talked way back when about Mother Mary and about um, other things. I also think I read a portion of the Alien Races book, which I have on computer somewhere. So it's like I've been doing all these things, never trying to be glossy or whatever. I've got stuff upstairs I was doing all that almost 20 years ago. I was working with blue screen in the 80s before computers were even computers, man. I was going to school and I knew somebody who was a geek and a tech. And I built several computers. I've got one upstairs that, you know, um, I think the motherboard's okay. And it ran like a scalded dog. And I was running Windows 2000 on it and it ran well. So, but I'd like to get back upstairs. And this winter, I think is going to be cold. So, right upstairs at the top of the stairs is my office. There are three computers, big screen, cameras. I have recording equipment up there. I've got microphones and stands and speakers. I got all kinds of shit. Thousands of dollars at the top of the stairs. What am I going to do this year? What are my goals? I want to get back up to my other equipment. And I want to be able to, I want to be able to not just do a video from the cell phone. I'd like to have maybe a blue screen. I'd like to be able to share the screen and show pictures that I've taken of all the different orbs over the years in the same location year after year when I go down to the beach down there, um, you know, on the river, and to be able to show the difference, and here's these blue beings, and here are these spheres over here, and these blue spheres are the ones, the pictures I took in Ohio, and let's compare them. That's what I want to do. So for, I don't want to necessarily say the near future, but I want to work on that towards the first of the year. And if it's cold and I got nothing to do and I got plenty of wood, and the heater is right under the office, so I'm not going to get cold. If I keep a fire in the heater and go up them stairs, I'm going to be warm. So that's a plus. And I'll be able to get back in the office. I can't climb the stairs with my back, but I'm so disgusted with me not going upstairs. I got to figure out how to get up and down them if I got to slide on my butt. And I'm not past doing that. So, because my stairs are steep and sort of it's a half spiral staircase is what it is, custom made for that spot right there. Um, so my future is like, I don't want to try to be like the Joneses, Well, this guy's got a blue screen, and I don't want to compete with with Milky Way or anything. But if I can get my shit together, it's going to look really good, you know. And but that's a somebody. Okay. Um, so anyway, I do have plans, and my plans are to, after 10 years, I want to be able to invite people on to have discussion. So, but I got to be able to get up there to the office. You know, um, he bought me a nice computer last year for Christmas, and I've got it set up here downstairs here, and it rains here, it leaks. I, there are things I need to take care of. So this area where I'm sitting, to transpose it up the stairs um, to the office, and to try to put it back to where I used to be able to share the screen. And I used to have a green screen background that I can change and do and stuff, and not to be flashy, just to be able to do it. You know, I went to the mountains and I'd like to show some pictures. So one of the background pictures for that day is me. It's at one of the falls in North Georgia. Would love to be able to do that. No, I can't at the moment. Joshua O. Should America ditch Europe and ally with China? I think the U.S. is wants Putin and Trump know something. Now, let me add this. Putin has known about the aliens for 20 years or more. Okay. Trump's uncle worked at Harvard, I believe, as a professor in electronics and engineering and all that. His uncle went and was one of the first people to get into Nikola Tesla's stuff. Trump has hinted over the years, him and his uncle used to sit down and talk about nuclear energy and talk about certain things. And I think he said today about, these these businesses are building their own power plants. So we don't have to supply energy to them. What a good idea, right? And any extra electricity you got, put it on the grid. Putting on the grid. Do, 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 do. Uh, Trying hard to look like Gary Cooper. Super duper. Dun, 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 bum, 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 bum. Putting on the Ritz. Anyway, went into a musical deluge right there. But so for future things, you know, there's going to be it's going to be a crazy market. People want to blame. Here's the thing: real estate. Let's have a chat. I've known several realtors in my lifetime. All right, especially one that I bought this place was through a realtor, sort of. But yeah, when people I know are buying so their houses, blah blah blah. Anyway, the realtors. So why can't young people afford to buy a house? Because realtors and the rules that they have established, because my niece is somebody that goes out and um, checks your house to appraise it, and so no one has been here to appraise my property. I went from $52,000 for the property, which was up from the year before at 48. Now, why, and what is their modus operandi to? I'm still a swamp. My roof leaks. I need help down here. I don't know if I'll be able to get back up enough to get everything took care of without some help to get it took care of, and then I might be able to take care of it. Weeds and stuff have just gone crazy, and they're hard to pull up and blah blah blah. Anyway, but a good half a day with a couple of people, But anyway, so this year I went from 52 or 58 or something. Anyway, they appraised my property this year, going up 4 years in a row now. Why? I've not done anything to this property. The river hasn't run hardly in the last few years. We had tornadoes come through, and on both, Sheila's place and my place over here, and it just wrecked the hell out of some stuff. Big trees, man. I mean, I'm talking big trees, old oak trees, and black gum. But the pine trees were already gone, except some of them are growing back after these 38 years, literally. So I've got trees that are 38 years old that are way tall and big around. Um, and then I've got some on the river that are over 150 years old. Yeah, buddy. They are humongous pine trees. And one of the very few left on the Ocklawahnee River. And they're longleaf yellow pine. And I literally stood in front of one of those big monsters that was going to chop it down. And I said, no, you are not getting that tree. You're not getting that tree. Oh, no, you're not. Well, we got. So I ended up mortgaging my trailer at the time. And there were 10 trees. And they had one of the forestry guys come down. And I told him, I said, appraise these 10 trees right through here. Well, how much? No, give me a price. How much? So they came up with $50 a tree. So I couldn't borrow. I went down to the bank, borrowed money against my travel trailer at the time, which was that I built this room that I'm sitting in on, and um, 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 so I could, so I could save those trees on the river. They're huge. Anywho, um, but over the years, what have I learned? What is the wisdom of the whiskers? You know, in watching how things go. Why is my property going up? I have not made any improvements. If anything, my house has took a slump. My roof is leaking worse, and um, so that's that. I haven't made any improvement. How come in the last 4 years, my property is worth $25,000 more without any improvement? So, who's pushing the real estate game? The Board of Commissioners, like the state of Georgia, all the folks, they get together at meetings and stuff, and all of the key players get together and come up with national standards for what are you? I'm tired and I'm forgetting. Um, an appraisal. So appraisal, yeah, a national standard. So everybody everywhere, if you've got a house that's so many square feet and it's this and this and this and this, so one state won't really be more than another. They tried. Um, is that now this $45,000 property is now $70,000? Why? If I wanted to sell it, well, there are some trees, but the river don't flow. It hasn't. What are you going to do with a place like me? Just sit on it? So it's not worth $62,000 the way it is. No. But Colquitt County sent me a thing in the mail, and it's official. 62 something something something. So now what the fudge is this? So now I got to save up money to pay tax. That's going to be $200. We went from 58 to 62. So, $500 more. If I thought, anyway, I can't count at the moment. So, why? So you can't buy a house because the people who learn how to appraise. Now I know because my niece is an appraiser up in um, northeast of Atlanta, right? I can't think of the town at the moment. But anyway, nice house, nice neighborhood, and she gets jobs to go out and you know they do the walkthrough, they do look underneath, they check the roof, they do the appraisal, and then that gets sent to the bank. And so whoever's trying to borrow money on it, if the house is worth what they say, so like some friends of mine, their daughter's turning 16, 17, 18 kind of thing, and they're trying to, they realize they're going to be empty nesters, and so they want to get rid of the bigger house now, um, to go for a smaller house. Good idea, right? They don't play golf, but it borders on the golf course. So they're like at $685,000 for a house, 2-story. I haven't seen it, but it probably a half an acre. That's the way some of these neighborhoods go. And some of the neighborhoods are older neighborhoods. $650,000 for a house that's 20 years older because it's in the same neighborhood, in Tifton. It's been there forever. Okay, so they cleaned up the houses. Well, how come, back in the day you could get that house for 45.9 easy? What? So 49.9 was like a good price for that house at the time. Now it's worth, 49,000, okay? And now they want $658,000 for that home. Well, now they did fix the such and such. They did repair the roof. They did a thing over here. But if you counted it all up, it might have been $20,000. You know, $650,000, almost $750,000. What's wrong with you people? So I'm having a conversation yesterday with my friend, and we were talking about things like that. And I was like, and there was a thing on the TV was like, young folks, plan for your future. And how come, young folks can't buy a house? He said, but they can't buy a house because of realtors and the realtors commission, because whoever does it, I'm not sure who sets the rules, but there's a commission where everybody gets together and agrees on this shit, right? Well, now property's going to be this much in this area of the United States. What? Oh yeah, my property value went up. Why? Well, because they appraised a farm a half mile down the road for like $1.2 million. Nice, fenced in all the way around. Nice farmhouse. There was some tractors and other equipment. Not big, mind you, but it's nice. Beautiful pastures and stuff. $1.2 million, that's a stretch. But because there are for 1.2 down the road, now mine is worth 62,000 automatically without any changes here. But I have to pay the higher taxes because some other asshole who lives down the road, who the house is not any different than when it was built 15 years ago, out in the middle of a beautiful pasture, and fixed it up. And the old gentleman died, and they auctioned it off, and the auction price was 1.2. Holy crap! So a lot of property around me that's still open. Across the river over there on the other side of Ricky, I've talked about where I don't know if the Germans still own it, but big chunk of land that, and they cleared a bunch of trees off of about half of the property that's over there. So owned by Germans, you know. Who said they could buy it? Who said it was okay for Germans to buy American property? Now, are they Germans who are trying to become Americans and they're just of German descent and here we are? Or is it they're from Germany and they're Germans who are buying and selling and trading trees and things here in the United States? Can we go to Germany and buy property? I mean, tit for tat, right? So in that, I would go, there's some nice guys. Okay, I got nothing against German people. Grossmutter was German, which was my great great nanny, Nana. So I don't have a problem with Germans, but we're having issues with foreigners buying up property. So a lot of countries we can't buy property unless we're married to a citizen of that country, and she or he, it could work both ways. He or she can't, you know, can buy property, but not the spouse from America. So, but equal opportunity, but she's the main one on the deal. So there is that. Now, so for future views, what else is going to go on? There's going to be some things bubble up that are going to be really strange for people. It's going to be like they found Godzilla, or something like that. Oh yeah, I came back. That the my first one threw me out for some reason. It shut me down and said, "That's it." And so 10 minutes later, I was back on. You know, Sheila. They also, they also own 250 acres in Ocklackney. Uh huh. I haven't. I don't think I met some guys years ago walking. I don't know. I don't think you guys owned that property over there, and maybe they were trying to buy the property across the street, but they were on this side looking for the property line, and there used to be a tree on the other side of the road. Painted up and had ribbons around it, and it went down along the edge of your driveway, sort of. And that's a little chunk of land, that they own, to the other side. And um, at one time, I wanted them to donate that piece of property between the road and the river, that I think you all have tried to buy. Um, just donate it. But what I wanted to do was turn it into a park. I wanted to mow it and clean it up because they had to go in there years ago. I don't know if you were there or not, Sheila, but where the power line went and everything, every time something happened, these guys had to wade through water to go fix it. And then they got smart one day and went down and replaced some poles and pulled the electricity wire at different places. Anyway, what's that got to do with the privacy in China? I'm not using any more electricity than I did 15 years ago. I'm my my week monthly usage is under 500 kilowatts, 480 range, almost every month. Now in the wintertime, it went up because I used electric heater. Now, the air conditioner's been running all summer, and my electric bill has been less than $90. Now, if I'm late paying it, I'm going to pay 92 something. So, but to my point, so how many people can regulate their electricity bill? You know, and you say, well, Dave, what's got to do with it? Your usage is going to matter. It does now, but there are people who don't give a damn and don't pay attention. Like turn your hot water heater off for a while and see how much money you save. You know, turn the air conditioner from 72 to 74 when you can stand it and see what happens. And little things like that. And you come back and go, oh, damn, last month our electric bill's 125. Now it's only 99. How can we save money? Well, we turned off the electric hot water there for a while, and we trimmed up the thing, and we turned the air conditioner up to from 60 to 72 or 70. You know, we bumped it up a little bit and learned that we could deal with it. You know, and so and everything's been copacetic. Well, we saved $25 this month by making those simple things. People have gotten soft in that. They're not paying attention. So I feel like with the prices of things affecting each other. So if you got to pay a lot for an electric bill, not going to have money for other things. Blah blah blah. Okay, so I see in this future that it's not going to be about solar. It's not going to be about wind. It's going to be conservation because that's what I have to do. I don't make any more money. So, in order to make money every month, I have to conserve. So, if say, okay, my light bill, $150 is if it's more than $150, I'm just going to hit the main switch, which it's never been. But I was like, where would I set a limit? So it's like, well, before it was like $100. But now, with the price of energy has gone up, it's easy for me to hit 89, $90 now because it costs more. So in the future, folks are going to pay attention to this usage rate. They're going to understand what usage rate means and all kind of stuff, not just in electricity. And I think they're going to be like, if I sit here and talk to you for 10 minutes, the usage of my energy just went down by 20%. I mean, you know, folks are going to start paying attention to things like that, which is going to relate to other things going on. Now, my aunt will. I don't think she's going to have a heart attack and freak out because I would go down and talk to her and say, Aunt Shirley, it's going to be okay. I don't think you're going to get probed or get snatched up. So just relax. Uh, you know, um, but 10 or 15 years ago, she would have freaked out more. But because there has been slow rollout, alien this, alien that, spaceship this, Star Trek, blah 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 blah. Everybody has been softened up to the alien idea, whatever it may be. So we can take, the War of the Worlds, and somehow we're gonna, you know, um, not get eaten by these beings, or something else. So, okay. But what has all of this showed is that humans are very resilient. What do I see in the future? I see people becoming more resilient. They're going to have to. They're going to have to toughen up. And I don't mean like boxing and stuff. No, they're going to have to toughen up their feelings. They're going to have to toughen up some of the way they're thinking. Um, it's like um, it's like the subject of a year in prison for burning the flag. I was a hippie. I still am. But somehow I have become a Republican. And at the moment, because I've seen such disregard, this, I was looking for this word earlier. There has been such a disregard of patriotism in the United States that we're oh ho hum. We can burn the American flag. You can't do nothing about it. Nah. And I want to say, I want to punch him. I want to punch someone like that. During the Vietnam War, it seemed like there was a real reason to burn the flag because of all the thousands of people who were dying, the body bags coming home from Nam and, living in Tampa, they were bringing them into MacDill Air Force Base. And, there were ceremonies and this, and it was on the local news. And more bodies come back from Vietnam and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, son of a bitch. And then you start, like in my senior year, there are people who had graduated a year or two before me in the neighborhood and stuff, like Joey. And, Joey served 2 years and came back. And, he's like, man, that's, and he served earlier in the 60s than in the latter parts. But anyway, so meeting these people and seeing them come back screwed up, jacked up, otherwise, and, or dead. And it's like, it seemed like we had a good reason to oppose the Americans for what they were doing. And God, you know, put some gasoline on this bitch and let it burn. Because the government of America was letting the soldiers burn in Vietnam. You know, there's many of them are still, sick from the Agent Orange and the VA and stuff with all the stuff. Now they're trying to fix it. So there are folks out there. So what do I see in the future? In the future, they're going to start fixing some of this stuff. It's actually going to start getting down to the nitty gritty. But sometimes you got to find out that you got a bad supervisor who somehow, you got stuff that's supposed to be coming in, and it somehow gets drop shipped somewhere else. But on the sheet, she claims or he claims that, yeah, we received it, and next thing you know, they go around and go, so where are all the blankets that we sent you? You didn't send us no blankets. Well, sign for it. I don't know. Who's got the blankets? Come to find out that somebody in the office has rerouted the shipment of whatever to drop shit over here. Well, until somebody uncovers it in some of these smaller towns and things, folks are getting away with it, right? So it's like, so justice, you know? Do we want to pick on people? Yes. If you've been wicked, mean, bad, and nasty, heck, come with me, right? You're going to jail or somewhere, but you ain't staying here. So I absolutely believe that some of these people should suffer. I mean, like by hanging. Um, Firing a squad would be too quick, you know? I think back in the old days, they would, have the noose tied on a springy branch that went up and down, and so they would hang the person just inches off the ground and kind of give them a little push, so they'd bounce up and down, and they'd hit the ground and get that brief respite of a breath, and then that limb snatches them back up, and yeah, that I know that's a bad, gross way, but some of these people have made other people suffer. I know I talk about my situation all the time, but having been 3 times, worked on the fourth, applied for disability because of my back, it was crushed. My neck is crushed. You know, the bottom vertebrae never filled like it was supposed to, and it cracks and does this. But I can turn my head some, which is like I ain't supposed to be able to do that. What I just did. So um, let's see now to my point in that, like my neck was broken. Well, all the discs were gone. All the discs were gone in my lower back as well, and it's all fused together. So, and up here though, the the ones that are fused together, it ain't fused to the next one down, and the next one down has a disc under it. So between those two pieces of bone, it's just floating, literally. It's just floating around. Sometimes I hit my neck just right, it goes, and then I go, ee, parts of my body go crazy. Or actually, they kind of just quit working. Just, ah. Um, so yeah, I've run the gambit, 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 gambit with the sickness thing. I don't have cancer. This thing the other day aggravated my kidney disease. So should I be compensated from Sofers for buying a product that made me sick? I'm gonna bitch at them. So I think I'm calm enough now to where I could make a phone call and explain the details. And the nurse read out for me over the phone today that um, because after seeing how my electrolytes and everything fell in just 2 days, he's like, food poisoning. And it's in my record, food poisoning. And I'm like, sweet. So if Stouffer says, well, I don't know, I'm going tomorrow because of food poisoning. I'm going to go on Thursday to have blood drawn because of food poisoning. No, don't give me this shit. You know. So what I see for the future is that there are things that are going to seem like there's never going to be an end to it. There are going to be folks who go like, oh, I don't know, I just gave up on it, and then all of a sudden something's going to come back up, and they're going to go, wait a minute, I thought I was dead. So I see that coming. Um, and for rebuilding places that shut down, there are places around that they might not go back to their location before COVID, but they've got a new location, and like there's a bakery in Moultrie. They might not get the same corner, but they're looking for a place to be a bakery, which is cool because we miss our bakery. Um, when you gotta go to now, I'm not bitching. There's some of the ladies that are local that work at the Walmart stores and the Harvey stores and all that work in the bakery section. They're very good. They're very good. And they put out good products. Okay. But then there's something about the bakery. Don't know. There's something about the bakery. The donuts taste different than the ones over there, you know, made maybe the same way, or maybe these guys are using a different kind of oil, which makes a big difference when you're frying something up. So here you go. Um, but I see people starting to realize some of these things and going, you know, um, we always go to the bakery at the Harveys. Well, across the street from the Harveys, yeah, you got to go through the traffic light. And over there in the corner back there is a bakery, a real, honest to God, standalone bakery, not in some high end food store. Now, again, I'm not knocking the bakeries in these places because, like I say, they've got local women and men working in them, mostly women, um, and they know how to bake. You know, so gotta give them credit. But at the same time, so there's all this bakery competition in the local food stores when we really need a standalone bakery. We need to support that bakery. Yeah, you can still go over there, and if you're buying groceries, you can pick up some donuts or something. But if you want a wedding cake or something, or you want such and such, go to the bakery. It's across the street. Give the people. But then when folks found out how good the damn bakery was, everybody was going to the bakery, and then COVID hit, and nobody went anywhere. The bakery's coming back. So those are the types of things I quote. It's not like a vision of things. It's just looking at what's going on, and watching some of the businesses. Just like, wow, those guys, they used to do before the COVID, and oh, so they're in a new location. Well, cool. Uh, yeah, baking is an art, absolutely. I cannot bake. I cannot bake. I've tried. I cannot bake. So, but that don't have, maybe hot cakes are, but I can't bake. No, I'll try. If you made me and gave me a box of stuff, now I have made my own brownies. So I can bake. In fact, I got some brownie mix on the table in there. It just reconnected me. And it's 2 hours later. Goodness gracious, I can't believe it. What time is it? 3:30, and we missed a 20. Dadgummit. So I just got to download a little tiny one just now. And it has to do with underwater things. And I have watched some of the, underwater stuff, and the fact that the admiral was on Danny Joe's podcast the other day. Well, he'd been before Congress too, so the admiral has been straightforward, and we should do things in the ocean. Well, they had some guys go down in the Mariana Trench. There are creatures that they thought might exist, and has showed some, you know, washing up on the beach and stuff. There are some deep ocean things that are happening. Just pay attention. Where is it coming from? Okay. Here, this is our galaxy. Okay. And it's spinning around, and it's traveling through the back up, back up. This is our solar system. Excuse me. I went too far out. This is our solar system. Okay. And this outside edge is the Oort cloud way out on the far expanses of our solar system that's roundish and doing this thing and spinning all together, and all the planets that are working in here. So, way out in the distance, solar system, this is the center of the galaxy. So, the galaxy, our solar system has been moving through the galaxy, and it's been underneath the midpoint, the ecliptic of the center of the galaxy. And so now our solar system has poked its head up above the middle of the galaxy. So our solar system peaked up over the edge. Now we're in the age of Aquarius. So from now on, there's the whole solar system is going to lift up higher than the ecliptic plane. And then in a couple of thousand years, it'll dip that back down and then go lower than, and then go under the ecliptic plane. So there's this dance over the thousands of years where our solar system comes up above it and floats around and then comes back down and goes below it. And then it comes back, what is it, 56,000 years or something? Then our solar system comes back up over the ecliptic again and points its nose up. The energy that's coming from the middle of the galaxy is what is banging us, along with energy from the sun. But so the whole solar system is moving. And now this new rock that's coming in, here's solar system is still here, okay? And now this rock is coming from outside. This is the Oort cloud, right? Furthest point in the solar system. And now this item is coming in from off camera, coming in, and from all, and look what it looks like, that it's going to go under and shoot around. Not going to hit us, but it's going to dip down under our solar system and then back up. Okay. So we're not going to get hit by it. But we have all this energy coming from these different areas. Now, if you watch Wall Thornhill and the Electric Universe, you know, there's a lot of discharge and magnetic fields. And so all of these things are combining right now as we speak, right? And going into the fall, it's a continuous thing. It's climate change magnetically. The earth, the sun, the water, the galaxy, our solar system coming up over the ecliptic, and peeking our head up. Oh, look, there's the center of the galaxy, but there's a lot of energy coming from there. And not necessarily bad, but, it comes in and whacks our solar system. And sometimes there are rays that come from the middle, and not necessarily the middle of the galaxy, okay? There's a We're out here on the edge, and there's a lot of stuff between us and the middle of the galaxy. So there's suggestion, and I would absolutely agree, that there are places between us and the center of the galaxy that we're getting rays from. We're getting energy from because of the electric universe. Because everything is, and the magnetism between things that's holding everything together, and the black goo. Well, no, I don't mean that. No. Um, okay, I hate to use it, but dark energy, you know, and I don't like that phrase, dark energy, but because you can't see it, okay, it's dark. But so I see in the future there's going to be more information about that, and that some of that information is going to affect some industry that I cannot see what it is. It's, you know, there's going to be a something over here that happens, and they're going to rediscover something. And maybe some of that stuff that they uh, put out years ago, I mean, years ago, and I talked about it, in one of the sub files or something, there was all of these um, patents and descriptions for exotic metals. I've been talking about this for a long time, and it's but for exotic metals. Wait a minute, and they were stamped top secret, so none of us could see it. So now these things, there's so much stuff that they have labeled top secret, so much stuff that's got put in a drawer or a satchel or a burn bag, or it's on a hard drive somewhere and there's a file. And if you go to that file and recopy this, you know the whole thing's there, right? Whatever it might be. And so, having worked at a company like Prestolite, I knew where there were files and folders and stuff that nobody knew were there. Nobody, because I asked, and I would, the IT guy would come in the evenings and fix the computers and load fix that because we were going through the, moving out of Windows 99, and so anyway, but I found these files. Oh yeah, do you know about this directory? No. What does it go to? Well, and what we were trying to do was clean up the computers and free up, a bunch of memory and hard drive space, and which we did. But in the meantime, we were finding files from 25 years ago. Nobody knew what was going on back then. And some of them, I mean, having worked in the company, I could look at them and go, well, this is a damn proposal for, a such and such. Holy crap, And then, oh, this is a such and such. And this is what Ford was doing back 25 years ago. They wanted us to do. And anyway, so all this stuff, that has been learned because there are many things, like I keep complaining about. The speed of light is an average, it's not exact, period. They proved it, sweared to it, but they lied to us. I've talked about um, comets, the tails. They say it's a big ball of ice and it's melting. No, that's bullshit. The tails that they see are particles within the dark space that the comet is traveling through. And much like the luminosity in the water in the summer times in the oceans, it's the same thing in space. So you rub your hand through the water, especially at night, and you see the ocean light up, because you've activated all those little critters in the water and they start glowing. So in outer space, why can't there be similar types of beings out there? Tiny little things. And as that rock flies through the air, it's doing the same thing that you do when you go and play in the ocean at night, um, when the phosphorus is in the water. So here comes a comet. As it gets closer to the sun, of course, it gets brighter because you get more reflection and stuff. So it's not shedding ice, because I thought about this when Haley's comet came and I was here to see it. And the next time it comes around, and I'm like, wait a minute, how many times has it been around already? And each time it comes around, it's melting and it's throwing off ice and it's, off gassing and all that. Okay, how much mass is that rock losing coming through space and the ice melting. Ice melting. Pay attention, class. Ice melting in space. There's no friction in a vacuum. So the closer it gets to the sun, it's off gassing. Why? Because the heat. It's 500,000 miles away. And you're telling me that it's got more heat than we got, and it's melting its ass way out there and on the edge of our solar system. And it's already melting. It's off gassing. Seriously? Well, by the time it gets here and goes down and around, whatever, that thing ought to be like this big. But there's no friction in space. No friction in space. So what's agitating the rock to where it's off gassing? Because if it's come in from another solar system and it's been off gassing, and that's what we see, that bitch would be out of gas from off gassing. What's in this rock? Any rock, don't care. What is in any of these rocks where they're off gassing that's a normal fucking thing? That ain't. They have made these statements that are they all agree on. Okay, we agree. There's no friction in space. So the ice melting theory, oh, it's heating up from the sun, bullshit. And no, no, no. Maybe when it got down real close, but out where it's at right now, and they're saying this, no, it's off gassing. What? Off gassing? Yeah, it's getting close to the sun. It's 1 billion miles away right now. What the hell? So there's going to be this. There are people complaining about science. I agree. There are things that are in some of these science books. They know better, and they're still teaching it. So I foresee folks, not necessarily like me, but I've been watching the sky for years. You know, when I get a chance to, I get to do um, a Earth wobble video and talk about the Earth and stuff. Haven't done one in a while because it's been cloudy. I haven't been able to, to make any, visuals, right? And so, but so I've been, citizen astronomers, we're going to look at stuff in the sky, and then we're going to look over to our neighbor over here standing there looking at the same object with his telescope, and you're going to look at each other and shake your head and go, that ain't right. But the NASA guys, space guys, they're going to lie to the very end about some of this stuff. Well, we had to do it this way because the public and they're going to live this lie all the way down. Where it's going to lead, I don't know. But here's what I do foresee. I foresee that in that area of stuff, things are going to start floating to the top, And it's like, wait a minute, what's this here? Hey, you over there, some bitch, come back here. You find out, wait a minute, we all thought this was blah, blah, blah. And you go, never, and the engineers get together and go, they told us it was obsolete, and they said that would never work. And here they are, and then so these engineers are going to get together and go, wait a minute now, you know, they've been lying to us, and Elon Musk kind of knows that, because he's shooting rockets all the time, and NASA's still worrying about another one. You know, I'm all for the clean room thing, okay, but you'd watch NASA take so much energy with that main booster rocket, with the steam coming off of it, and it looks so ominous sitting there, and it was like, clean room, we can't touch it. And, Tesla's guys have washed their hands and put on some gloves, and they're out there building this shit. Then it flies and then comes back down and gets caught. Come on, NASA. Aren't you embarrassed? So, future viewing, um, because Earth is coming up over the ecliptic, it's expanding. The Earth has been expanding. But this right now that we're going through is a growth spurt with Mother Earth. And where she ends up splitting or being unstable or cracking or moving or whatever. And I started this section with underwater stuff. So there are going to be things that they've been watching underwater, especially down in the Caribbean. And people want to say that that's where Atlantis is, and I don't believe that. I believe Atlantis is over off the coast of the Mediterranean, Santorini or whatever that island is over there. Um, what's going on in the Gulf of Mexico and down off of Cuba and all that is a different kind of Atlantis. One could say it's Atlantis too, that they had a place over there and they had a place over here. Um, but there's too much evidence for the islands off the coast of Africa, and also from what um, Homer said, that Cicero saw that you know Atlantis was just you could see it from the Narrows there at the the Big Rock. So, but anyway, so the future is there's going to be lots of things because there are people like me, and I've seen them, I've watched them talk amongst themselves, and it's getting bigger. And it's because people are going, you've lied to us. You God dog lied to us about all kinds of stuff. You guys have had exotic metals. I've talked about it because, they had so many of those metals and things that they stamped top secret. Nobody else could see them. Only the folks working to produce those exotic metals could see what the components were and how they were made. I think that I think more of that's going to come out. There are so many people, and I think that the young Doge people have set a standard that there are within the universities and stuff, especially like with Trump and gung holeness, that there are some true um, coders out there who want to do the right thing and are tired of seeing people getting pushed. And so I see that sort of like a Doge group, they're already working together, okay? And they're looking for some of this nasty stuff, and what can we fix? And if we, you know, if we don't necessarily hack somebody, but we do, and only to show the nasties they're doing, see what these folks are up to, and point the finger at them. And there's enough of us now. We want to fix it. Before we were all apoplectic, you know. We just didn't care. It's like, oh my God, here we go again. We can't fix it. I think this time around, there's a willingness with the people in a pissed offness kind of way that is like, no, I'm tired of this. So what do I see for future events? Change. Some of it's going to go boom. It's going to be big, going to hit you. But right now, we are actually going through a subtle change revolution right now. Because we've come up on the ecliptic, because the solar system's peeking over the edge, that means all of us are. We can connect to the big giant head in the center of the galaxy there and receive the energies from the universe every single day, all the time, right now. Energy from the universe. We're getting it right now. This is the quantum. This is the, I've called it that, the goo that holds us all together in the universe. It's still that. It's the consciousness they were talking about the other day. You know, it's the consciousness of the universe that creates, and when it doesn't create, no, consciousness is the quantum. That's the new deal. Consciousness is the cosmic goo. Consciousness, I'm barely awake, but I'm conscious. So I'm still a part of the cosmic goo. Now, in a perfect universe, if I could learn how to do it, it would be that I could sit here after talking to you all, and somebody in Utah says, "Hey, Dave, Hawkeye, come on out and visit. We'll sit on the porch, watch the stars." So I finish up here and I turn the cell phone off, I put it in my pocket, and I rub my hands together and think, and I'm in Utah. How'd that shit happen? Well, that's where we have learned the true meaning of the fourth dimension. That's where we have learned to control the goo to our benefit. That we can just transfer our consciousness. All I got to do is picture my buddy out there in Utah, right? He's out there in Utah, standing on a mesa. Okay, so I picture him there, and twing, I have traveled through the goo, through the consciousness, through the quantum, and I appear over there in Utah. Nah, that can't happen. Can it? It's not time travel. It's accepting what everybody. I've talked about now this part of it 2 years ago or more, or more, about how the consciousness. I did a whole thing about consciousness and subconsciousness, and maybe I need to go back through it. But the consciousness, um, the energy of our consciousness. I don't want to say it hangs in the quantum. Give me a minute. It does kind of float on a microscopic level now. It does kind of float, you know. It it's not attached to anything, and it's not looking to be attached to anything. If anything, it's more apt to bounce off of it, you know. So it ain't time travel. We have learned how to slip through the quantum field to our destination. The shamans of old, maybe still do, could stop and fold their arms and legs and think of where they wanted to go, and they would just disappear and then reappear where they wanted to be. True shamanism. And that's why I know I'll never be a true shaman, because I don't think I could. I don't. I would love to be able to do that, honest to God, just because I think it's cool. You know, not because I want some kind of superpower or anything like. No, I just think it's cool. How do you do that? Well, you think like this and you do a thing and you grunt real hard and poop, you go. Okay, let me try it. I just shit my pants. Damn it, man! Tried too hard. So but in the universe, in the quantum, everything is existing at the same time. Yep, it is floating around, you know, and don't get hit by that one coming by. Oh no, here comes a quantum field. Oh, twing, you know, and now you've changed your mind about something. Wait a minute, I never thought of this something like this before. It's a good thing I saw that little quantum thing floating by, you know. That's a good thought. Help humanity. Who's that down there? Something Cage? Astrology would. Is that Zoroastrianism? I'm still having trouble with my eyes. I had cataracts, and so I'm still having trouble focusing. Um, Astrology was a dark art handed when by the Nephilim. There is an order to the universe. Absolutely, yep. And believe it or not, and that's one of the things that's going to freak some people out, is that some of those ancient books, the Zoroastrians and some of them other folks, the basic core of what they believed in, um, is sort of universal. So, but in the consciousness, the first thing is like for me, the first thing I do is I believe you can, maybe not me or you, but um, we, when taught correctly, could pop to some other location. When we understood the mechanics of it, there's going to be a series of thoughts that's going to be like a key. And you're going to think about, dong, you know. So, but to be able to go to, well, I heard Paris was dirty, but to be able to go to Paris or, you know, go to the beer fest in Germany or whatever, you know. So that would be really cool. You know, they're going to have you know, a rocket shoot off in Texas, you know, another one of Elon's things, and say, man, I'd really like to go over there and have coffee and watch it shoot off. And boom, you're there. And next thing you know, you're pouring yourself a cup of coffee and you're watching the rocket go up. So when it's all done, you don't have to worry about traffic. Boom, right back to the house. I don't know if you could bump into somebody in the quantum or not. Hopefully, it would be sort of like bumper cars. That if you're going through and somebody was coming by and you just bing, woo, you'd kind of keep on going. But so in the quantum field, we hop over all those molecules from, okay, bunch of molecules right here on this knuckle. All right. And I want to go to the wrist. Okay. Build up energy, poop, poing, and you're there. So to go back, because you there is an electrical field that followed you from this energy point here. And so there's a trace of it through the cosmos to where you landed. So now you landed over here, and so you start drawing on the energy of where you are here. But because there's still an attachment to up here on the knuckle, you also can get extra energy to jump or whatever you need to do over here. So it's like, so it's not a lot, but it's like 5, 10%, could help you jump to now you're at 115% to wherever you want to go to. So maybe it takes more, you know, if I want to go to South, Rio, and I can't fly straight there for some reason. Maybe I have to, maybe I could only go halfway and I got to stop in Brazil or something, okay. So you stop in Brazil and you look at the Amazon, and then you then you make finish the trip. So, but in that going from A to B, there is that jump statistic. So you could pick up, you jump into here, right? You've already come from down here at the fingernail, so you made it up here to the knuckle, and so but there's still energy tied from the 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 fingernail. So drop on the energy here some more, pull in a little bit from back here in the back, and ka-twing, and you jump to the next spot. So you get to use this backwards energy enough. Um, it's like a backwash or something. It gives it like that. Anyway, so all this information. So how are people going to take all this alien stuff? My aunt's going to go, no, I don't think so. I'm going to tell her, just calm down. They're not going to come to eat you, right? So I've already been through this many times, and Dante has shown it too. The true religion and stuff that comes out going to freak people out. Catholics are not going to like it. Why? Because I've talked to Catholics about it over the years, and they're not going to like it, you know. And the reason they're not going to like it is because there's very little need for any kind of worship. They're not going to have to worship this God that they hold in this piece of bread. And they're not going to bless a bunch of them and then pass them out to people who go, hey, let's eat this guy. Eat my body, drink my blood, and we'll sing a song of love. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Okay, well, we learned that in 1968. So I've been singing that song for the last 50 some odd years. Eat my body, drink my blood, and we'll sing a song of love. What? And it's like plain as the nose on your face. Now, but Christians and in the Bible, and it's like, you know, there's power in the blood. There's power in the blood of the Lord. There's some power. There's some power in the Lord, in the Lord. And the body of the Lord, there is some power, and the power and the blood of the Lord. and okay, that's a Baptist, right? So, but it has been all about blood, sacredness of it. And in so many words, it's in Catholic religion, it's downright on it. You worship Jesus. You don't worship God. What? Pay attention. You're not going, well, he sacrificed his only son to save our souls from hell. Bravo. Thank you very much. And I mean it, right? But then how come they got to baptize all of us, right? We have to be baptized in the water of the Lord and in the blood. What? I thought it was all groovy up here. He died for our sins, right? Yeah. Okay. So, um, but do you think he really meant all this stuff? Well, I don't know. He was a Jew after all. Yeah, but did you know that Jesus studied Hindu and he knew Arabic or something and he knew this one over there? And where he had disappeared to was that the Lord sent him on a mission to learn about meditation because he went to learn about meditation. Why? Because if he knew what was going to happen to him, which say he did, if he knew what was going to happen to him, why go to learn about meditation? Because when you're in a meditative state, people have been more apt to, and I'm one of them. Something hurts bad, 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 and you just got to put up with it, like a foot or a leg or or arm stuck, just whatever it is. And so you meditate on it, you meditate on the pain. When that hematoma came to me when I was in the hospital for my back surgery. Mind my language, but that's some bitch hurt. And I mean all the time. I could move. They I laid in a puddle of water for 2 days where they brought ice in and packed it on my back. Was the only thing that did any good was direct ice on my back. So for 2 days I endured that. And you have to go to the pain. You've got to focus on, and it's not to make it worse. It's like, okay, I got this. And what you do is you actually end up blocking the thought. Oh, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Yeah, there's some pain there. Ow. Okay. Take a deep breath. So you can gain control of the situation. No matter, I've had gangsters with blood flying everywhere and stuff, and I'm still here. So, what you got to be able to learn how to meditate in that you can focus on the pain, and that's why some of these guys would, walk on hot coals and stuff. Now, I have walked on hot coals. I have a mark on my hand where I did that ceremony, and I called it a fire ceremony. Um, but that ceremony, um, I was instructed to put some coals on the back of my hand and hold them there. And that the power of my thoughts, the power of the ceremony that I had just done, that I would not feel the coals burning my skin. So part of my brain was going, "Oh, this is gonna hurt," and the other part of my brain was going, "We got this." So I picked up this coal, tossed it around, and put it on the back of my hand. There's a square. There's a square spot. I don't know if you can see it with the camera, but there's a square spot right here, the scar where I did it. So people say, "Oh my God, it's self mutilation." I did add a drop of blood or two, but the ceremony had to be serious, and I had to give up myself. But the spirit was telling me, "Go ahead and put that thing on the back of your hand. It's not going to hurt." And I'm like, "Hey, hey," and so I was like, "Okie dokie," put it on the back of my hand, and it stung, just stung, and then it didn't hurt. And I was still meditating. I'm still chanting, and I look down there and I see it, and it's like it's glowing red, buddy, and it's um. So then left it on. I thought, well, ain't that enough? And it was like, no, leave it on some more. Okay. So I left it on, and this is maybe 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. All right, no longer. So I'm doing it, and it got to the point where the heat became cold. The heat was felt cool on my skin. Okay. So when the time was up and I did my thing and I dumped the coal off, I went along and was doing the ceremony and finishing up and okay, I'm done. Ow! 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 Son of a ow! Ow! God almighty. So after the ceremony, and I can't remember how long, wasn't too long, but after the ceremony, I did not feel anything on my hand. And I was like, man, oh man, this is like proof. Here's proof, right? Dave, do you need proof of meditation working or not? I've got my badge of honor right there. So that's how I know that even if you burn me, depending on where and etc., that I've already passed the test to be able to focus on the pain, and it's not really blocking the pain. You disassociate yourself from the pain. You go into the quantum. You go into the dream time. The lizard and talk about dragonfly last night. The dragonfly is also there for the repair. So it's like, mm. But now it's stung, and I put aloe on it, right? I'm getting this message from the spirit, and I'm like, son of a bitch, you all didn't tell me. And they was like, put aloe on it, and do this, put aloe on it. Okay. I put the aloe on it, and it quit burning almost immediately. I mean, it was just like, wing. And, but I had been burned before on this hand, actually. Um, no, it was this one. When I was a kid, I tried to burn down a house. Not really. I was playing with a cigarette that had caught a piece of Kleenex on fire. No, I was just yeah, I was just watching it. It didn't come to a flame. It was just smoldering, burning. And it went up the Kleenex there. In an ashtray, and I'm watching it. And back then they had wooden matches, and I'm kind of stirring it around a little bit. Just watching it. Ain't trying to start no fire, But all of a sudden, with me breathing on it, not knowing, that little spark as it was eating up the paper towel or toilet paper, Kleenex. It was going on, breathed on it, and it puffed up into flame. Holy shit. I'm like 9 years old. Holy shit. So I grabbed that Kleenex up and and it's on fire. And as I'm holding it, the flames are catching on to the rest of the Kleenex, right? And so I'm in the living room. I have to go take 2 steps into the hall and a few steps to get to the bathroom, and I dropped it in the toilet, which was all very sane. But as I was running, doing this, the flames up the napkin singed my fingers and my thumb. And I had huge blisters like this tall, and they wouldn't bust them. And that's what we should have done. They should have left me alone because I was going to stick in. The Boy Scouts teach me how to deal with a blister. No, 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 can't do that. Not on a burn, not on a burn. And so what did they do? They put the wrong thing. They put butter on me, and I just cooked. They don't do that anymore. Oh, you can't put it underwater. That's back then. No, no, no. You got to do the thing with butter. And they was smearing the butter on me, and I was just screaming because it hurt. And so I know what a burn feels like because I've had it as a child. So I think the ceremony for me was to break me from that incident. That was an accident. Felt guilty. Grandma forgave me. Everything was groovy, honest. But then I had to spend the last 2 weeks. Um, oh God Almighty, it stunk. They wrapped my hand with gauze and they wrapped my thumb up with gauze, and it would leak. Oh God, it smelled. And so I put up with that, and the pain, the pain, the pain, the pain. They didn't give me shit for pain back then. So I've had the test of the burn, and I've passed because I'm still here, right? And I got a little bit of a scar on this hand, on this thumb. I can see it. It's not on this one, so I'm positive it was this one, of where the it comes around like this and come back down, and it was over the top of my knuckle and all the way down to the fingernail, and it ballooned up. I ain't lying. It was this tall, and they would wrap it with gauze, and then they would smear butter on it. Oh fuck! I'm sorry, I cussed again. But oh man, did it hurt? So what do I see in the future? I see things like that for me. Wait a minute. Let me back up. I see things happening in the future that the incidents would be sort of like might happen to me. Okay. Not that this is for me or directed at me. No, I don't mean that. But it'll be like, if you've ever done any sailing and you want to know how far you are from land kind of thing. So you stand up there and you stand up in the front and you give her one of these. And if you've been to sea it for a while, then you can gauge, right? So there's the marina over there, heading that direction, okie doke, or whatever, right? So that is, you can see in the distance, but it's not seeing the future. But you are, because you're seeing the route you're going to take to get to that destination. You got to weave your way through the water. You got to get there. So, is that complicated? No. But there are some people who are dumb as a box of rocks, and they're going to be able to get some of this, and it's going to enlighten them. And they're going to go, wait a minute. And what's going to happen is because some of this stuff is really basic, but they have been irradiated with the wrong information so long that it's embedded. Literally, I feel like it's inside them. You know, I'm going to have to go in there and yank it out and go, dude, it did not go down like that. But the news and the people and the thing and the that, dude, it did not go down that way. This is how it went. No, 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 that's fake. Calm down. This is how it went. No, they're already doing it. They're already doing it to stuff. No, it couldn't happen that way. No, oh, gee, many Christmas. But we're going to have to go through that stage, right? The Nunya. Yeah. Hope you have a great night. You too, Gmail. Um, and I'm going to wrap it up now too at 2 hours and 40 minutes plus the other video I did. I love you all. I do. I do. I do. Thank you for hanging out. And, for future things, again, these are trends and things I see, and I don't necessarily write them down, but I see them. It's like being on the carnival and watching the crowd and seeing what's developing. You know, some of them are some feelings that I get, and sometimes I get a little help from my, um, my guys and gals that help me out and help teach me. So they want me to go back to Cuba and what's under the water there. They've already got a lot of information, but the biggest thing is I don't know if it's Castro. I can't remember who is the kingpin in Cuba. But here is one thing that we know Cuba's just off the coast, but Cuba's Cuba, and ain't nobody going in. Now, we got on the bottom side of the island over there, we've got Gitmo, which doesn't make any sense to me. Why do we have Gitmo in Cuba? Why? Why can we take prisoners there? Well, because it's a detention center. Okay, no problem there. Um, but on the other tip of Cuba is like the capital, and there's all this, and there's communists there in that city. Okay, they still have guerrilla warfare, in the jungles there in Cuba. But why would Cuba hold up the United States in wanting to not necessarily resurrect what's on the bottom, but to allow more people to go in and study it, you know, and to make it a sure enough archaeological site? And there are some, not rich, they may be rich, but there are some powerful entities, and I do mean entities. Okay, you want to look for outer space people? They're there at the end of Cuba, and of course they're in the Gulf of Mexico too. But um, whatever's down there, there's some divers and photographs and stuff over the years. Um, I think Jacques Cousteau had taken pictures of some of it or something, um, because there is video and pictures of the Bimini Road and blah blah blah. So, but anyway, why is it so secret? Honest to God, why is down there and along the islands and the trenches and stuff? There's one of the deepest trenches right off the coast of Cuba. I mean, you look at Cuba and it goes down into the water and it goes a little ways and then boom, straight down. So there's some really deep places nearby. You don't have to go to the trench with Chinese. All you got to do is go down one of those trenches, right? And they have. But those trenches go down and they go deep. And if the earth wiggles around a little bit, they're going to creak. And if one of them is a little creakier than another, it could split some and allow whatever to go through or to come out or whatever, or for the earth to expand. All right. I don't believe that this solid core earth thing. I just don't. Um, I think it's more of a hollow earth thing. We'll see, and that will be one of the other things that I foresee. I'm not sure that we're going to get to go into inner earth, but somebody's going to go, screw this. I'm flying over the South Pole. Screw this. I'm flying over the North Pole. Where is that some bitch where Bird went into? Where is this spot? So portal, absolutely. Do they have it closed and have it look like ice and and look like Arctic? Yes, but it's camouflage. You know, so they need to look for camouflage to find the openings to that. But for the Bimini Road and stuff, um, they need to seriously ask the question: who the fudge is in charge? Who says you can't go down there? You can't release photographs. You can't take a submarine under there. I mean, you want to bet? Americans have done it a bunch of times. Going in and out of the Gulf of Mexico and into the Atlantic, they pass over the spot all the time. You don't think they ain't pinged that spot? They have figure of speech. They have put depth charges type equipment to go down there and ping it. To like as they're going by, they drive and like ping, sort of like sonar, ping, do another spot, ping, So they've got this thing where they're, it's like sonar and it's like FLIR and that kind of thing, but for underwater. So, but I think there's going to be some information that comes out of that. I don't know how extensive or whatever. Oh, going back to the alien thing with Donald Trump. Here's here's the ticket. He has been asked several times, do you believe in aliens? Do you believe in UFOs? Well, I don't know. He's him on hedge. When disclosure is disclosure and disclosure will be when Donald Trump is sitting at the Resolute desk and he looks down a little bit and he shuffles some papers and he looks up at the cameras and goes, aliens are real. And he gets up and walks out of the room. He just says, all he's got to do is say, aliens are real. What the fudge? Holy crap in a bag. So he doesn't have to explain himself. He doesn't have to say where they come from. Oh, these are the red, the Zeta Reticulate. All he's got to do is say, aliens are real. And so are the flying saucers. And yes, we have some of our own, but aliens are real. Thank you very much. We will have a an interview with the engineers and everybody, and they can answer the questions. Where do these guys come? How many? There'll be a president won't have to answer those questions. So, but when he comes out and says aliens are real, and just leaves it. I, I s- it's got to come out, and that's how I see it coming. So we'll see how it does. So time in the future, interesting things that are afloat, and not things. Yeah, you could get shot. Yeah, a rocket fall on you. Yeah, there's a stuff coming in from outer space. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. But just keep your cool and do your stuff. Participate um, in society. It's like me. I don't participate much. I'm sitting down here but I need to. I need to go to the YMCA. I need to go use the gym. I need to finish that damn. It keeps raining in the evenings and filling my canoe up. So, but I need to finish it up and to get it on the river, and so things I need to finish. Projects that were just close to being done, and I quit. Well, but I got sick. It rained a bunch. All of that's true. And in the meantime, I sat here and let my legs grow fat, and water around my heart developed, and I couldn't breathe, and my heart was going flunky, and got to go back in the hospital to fix what got messed up. Holy crap! In 36 hours, less than 2 days. So be careful, y'all. I was being careful, but it bit me anyway. So, but trust in the Lord, trust in the faith, have faith in the universe, and it'll work out. And unfortunately, unfortunately, depending on where your situation is, um, life for you might be that you get knocked out, but you literally, your life, you might get shot, you might get airplane fall on your ass or something, but you don't make it. And that's just all there is to it. But what about, no, sorry, not this time, you know, but I'm so close, you know, when I was drowned and Jamie was putting the paddle in the water. It was dark 30. Big full moon, there was some light up there as I was under the water. My clothing was caught on a log limb, something under the water, and I couldn't get my leg free. So I'm, you know, um, trying to get my leg free. I was out of the kayak. It was underwater. So was I, but I was stuck. But I could see the paddle, the profile of the paddle up through the darkness. And hallelujah, um, grabbed a hold of the thing, and he pulled me up to the surface, so I could put a hand on the canoe and not go back under. But the water was cold, and the air was cold, and I was cold, and I went into thermo thermonuclear coldness. that yeah, I'm having oh, I can't think of the name of it now. I am tired. I need to quit because I'm going to make myself look stupid in a minute if I haven't already. So, but anyway, I see the future is very promising. Let's not fudge it up. And maybe what we need to do is fudge it up in such a way that maybe you need to make a pan of brownies and go share them with somebody. And you can make some Alice B. Toklas brownies if they're so inclined. And that'll help put us straight. Now, there are folks, oh man, quit doing drugs, quit doing it. Listen, yesterday I was sick coming home from the hospital with my stomach and everything. And I hit my pipe on the way back and just hit once, drive a couple miles, hit it again, drive a couple miles, hit it one more time, get to the house, and I was not as nauseated. Now he did give me a shot with the Phenergan, but the nausea went right away. So it helps with nausea. It's a shame, ah, God, I don't want to give up smoking. Shame on me. But anyway, I love you all. Please be safe. And Chloe and Katniss and I can't see it. I can't focus enough. And the other day, is that Armageddon? I don't know. But anyway, that's who I see in the viewfinder. So please be safe. I love you all. I continue to pray each and every day that each and every one of you will continue to learn, to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings in the universe. Be safe, be good. Till next time. Adios.